How's everything going this fine day slash night, wherever the heck you are? But yeah, doing pretty good. Hmm. Sounds like my audio ain't that loud. Testing, testing, testing. Okay, sounds like the audio is doing good. But anyways, tonight unfortunately I wasn't able to get into the full groove of doing like another gaming thing. However, I was able to finish up my facts about my creature of the week. So that's what we're doing tonight. And speaking of which, greetings, creatures and humans alike. I am MagiQDog, and tonight we shall be learning about. We are going to be learning about the Amarok. Uh, yeah. Oh, wait, forgot about this. There we go, the Amarok. This one's actually going to be really exciting because this happens to be kind of like one of my top tier mythical creatures and stuff. And this one's from Inuit mythology, so I haven't even had a chance to talk about any of those creatures yet. So let's get started. Oh, right, gotta get rid of the wings and gotta pull up my notes. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Here we go. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna bring that name up while I do like the introduction. The Amarok are majestic yet terrifying giant wolf creatures in Inuit mythology. Appearance: Amaroks will look like a typical gray wolf with a strong build to its body. However, unlike other wolves, an Amarok is gigantic in size. They are said to easily dwarf the biggest polar bears in size and are way taller than any human living up in the far north. They are said to come in colors ranging from gray to darker colors or even white. They are told to have eyes that can pierce the very soul of a person and a howl that is like a blizzard. They are said to have powerful bodies that hold powerful strength. And finally, they are told to be lone hunters, for they are rarely seen with others unless they have pups. Roles in mythology: the Amarok is told as the apex predator of the Inuit wilderness. They are feared predators that will hunt and devour any hunters that is dumb enough to hunt alone at night. They represent the dangers of hunting alone. Um, they represent the dangers of hunting alone out at night, which is basically what I said earlier. But you know what I mean. The only time they oh wait, I'm skipping something. Sorry. Take two. They are also lone solitary creatures and will always live and hunt alone. The only time they are seen to be with others is during mating seasons or when the mothers have pup. These wolves are known to hunt any large animals with human and caribou as the primary choices. However, Amaroks are more than just wild giant animals. They are told as a kind of spirit that represents strength and nature. They also act as guardians of nature and will help play the role to maintain balance in nature, like hunting down weak animals or hunting down human hunters who take more than they should. Emerooks are also intelligent beings with some capable of speech. There are some Emerooks who can help out people if they are called upon. There's actually a story of a boy who called for an Emerook to help him become stronger, and so that Emerook helped him become strong. However, not all Emerooks are helpful, as many see humans as prey or obstacles in the path of order of the ecosystem. Other giant wolves. The Emerook is considered gigantic in size compared to other large animals like the polar bears and caribous. In fact, the Inuit sees them as one of the largest predators of the icy north. However, other legends of giant wolf-like creatures exist in other parts of the world, and here are a few examples of giant wolves of myths and legends. Obviously, the ones that come to mind are those from Norse mythology, like Fenrir and Skoll and Hati. Norse mythology is often the main mythology with gigantic wolves. These wolves of giant proportion and size are known as wargs. Wargs are considered giant wolves, whom are also considered violent and having dark intentions. Fenrir is the son of Loki and is told to be a part of Ragnarok, or the Norse end of days, where he'll play the part of devouring Odin and then being slayed by Fiora, Odin's son. By the way, I'm sorry for any mispronunciations of the name. I do apologize and stuff. Anyways, you also got the Skoll and Hati, who are giant wargs that chase after the sun and moon to try to devour them. They are the reasons that eclipse happen. They are the reasons that eclipse happen in Norse mythology. Next, you have the beast of Gevaudan from France. I really hope I'm pronouncing this right. Anyways, this is a very large wolf-like beast that terrorized the countryside of Gevaudan as it ate both livestock and men. Finally, we go back to the north again in Alaska as we have the Waheela. The Waheela is described as a large and heavy built wolf like creature and are told to be an evil spirit by natives that will kill and remove people's heads. So, yeah, very hardcore stuff with that one. So, with that, the Amarok are the lone giant wolves in myth. Powers. The Amarok are described as the powerful wolf spirits of the wilderness, and this is because of their supernatural powers and abilities they use for the hunt. First off, it's their physical powers of the wolf. With their wolf bodies, they have all the powers of a wolf, which includes by uh, enhanced speed, by force, stamina, and senses. Of course, these natural abilities are boosted due to the fact that they are giant in size, which also grant them super strength. The Inuit considered them one of the most powerful hunters with unmatched strength. It's also said that they can. Um, oh, I am gonna be messing up today, aren't I? I am so sorry, folks. Anyways, it's also said that their eyes can pierce into a person's soul, causing pure fear onto their victims. Their natural weapons are their fangs, which is attached to a powerful shawl that can split a person in two, and their claws that are like swords. If that wasn't bad enough, some Emerooks are also intelligent beings who are capable of speech and talks to people so they can plan out their attacks. But besides physical natural abilities, they also have spiritual or magical powers at their call. Emerooks are spirit beings and have spiritual powers. One example is that they can detect disruptions within natural order and are able to fix those disruptions. And pretty much the main way is by hunting down sick animals that could wipe out herds or locating evil men and dealing with them. They also have a powerful presence that makes any beings terrified of them. Another power that goes along with their spiritualism is that some are capable of extracting a person's soul. In one story where a man tried to hide from a mother Emerald after killing her pups, she reached into the water and pulled out a man's soul, which ended up killing the man. This story not only shows that the Emerald can kill you without touching you, but you can also but you also can't hide from it either, as it's capable of finding your soul and dragging it out of your body as well. Another tale shows of an emerald capable of removing people's bones without hurting them, indicating a mysterious or magical power they possess as well. Lastly, they are considered guardians of the natural order and nature of the North, so they are bound to have powers that help them protect nature itself. And who knows? They might have other powers that weren't told in Inuit stories that we may never know of. Weaknesses. Now, normally I would discuss about the weaknesses of the creature here and talked about how you can defend yourself. However, with this being the first case of the creature of the week, the Amarok doesn't seem to have a weakness from Inuit mythology, at least that of a fully grown adult. It seems that the adult Amaroks in Inuit myths and stories don't seem to have a specific weakness that one can use to defend themselves. The only known way that one could defend or even kill an Amarok is when they are a pup, but that only invites the wrath of an angry mother that can kill you without touching you. However, based on the fact that an Amarok can die based on a famous story, we could think of possible weaknesses to help out. Now, note, these are just theories of possible weaknesses, so don't take any of this as fact. Now, based on what we know of the stories of the Amarok, it seems that the hunters killed the pup with basic hunting weapons. This means that the Amarok can be killed, but it may take heavy weaponry to take an adult one down. Powerful guns like an elephant gun, or using heavy war machines or artillery like a tank, might be able to knock down an Amarok for good. Another possible weakness could be used in standard and natural wolf deterrence. After all, the Amarok is a wolf creature, so using wolf deterrents like, for example, maybe wolf spray, fire, loud noises, or even wolf banes, which are historically known to poison wolves and repel werewolves as well, might be tools to keep Amaroks away. And the final possible weakness could be using iron and other tools that can harm spirits. As spirit beings themselves, the Amarok might have the same weaknesses as other spirits, like iron, holy relics, talismans, and so on. But like I said, all these are hypothetical weaknesses and are not truly known. They are just possible weaknesses based off of the facts of the Amarok and other spirits as well, and animals as well. Spiritualism. The Inuit people have a strong belief of spirituality that has shaped their culture and way of life. The Inuit believe that all things in nature have animism. Animism is a soul or spiritual essence that exists in all things. Sorry, I kind of lost track. Humans, animals, the land, trees, and even rocks have animism or a soul. They also have a strong belief in the afterlife that corresponds with a soul. After death, all things with animism will go to the Quadifun, the heavenly upper world, or Avalon, the underworld, un- the underwater underworld. My apologies again. Other than the worlds, you also have the shamans who are able to commune with spirits or spiritual beings, perform spiritual rituals, and teach us about taboo that could ruin one's soul. But I'm not going to go into the Inuit cosmology. But the reason that I mention any of this is due to the Emerald. I already mentioned this before in their roles and powers and so on, but once again, the Emerald are spiritual beings that serve nature by maintaining order and balance in the wilderness. This mainly includes using their hunting skills to devour sick and weakened prey to allow the rest to survive, or allow the strongest prey items, like the. Hang on, I messed up. Retake. Okay, this mainly includes using their hunting skills to devour sick and weakened prey to allow the rest to survive, or to allow the prey item to pass down their genes. This is mainly seen in caribou as they play a vital role in Inuit culture. They also act as punishers against those that defy the natural order and will hunt down and kill any evildoers that wish to disrupt the balance of nature. The spirituality of Amaruk is so keen that they are considered not just a predator, but also a guardian of nature, who's a fierce protector or defender in Inuit myths. Wait, by the way, how's everything going? I'm going fine and stuff. It's just that I don't know why, but I keep messing up and that's throwing me off my game. Anyways, cryptozoology. Now, the Amaruk is mainly a mythical creature with deep ties to Inuit, to Inuit cosmology. After all, they are both a fierce animal and a spirit being with stories passed down throughout generations. But just because they are mythical creatures doesn't mean that they don't have a place in the field of science, or in this case, cryptozoology. I kind of feel like I don't need to explain this since I covered this multiple times, but I will regardless. Cryptozoology is the study of cryptids, or animals who are said to exist but without scientific evidence. Cryptozoologists try to explain the possible existence of these animals, and even try to find evidence of them being real. This includes some legendary and mythical creatures like the Amarok. In this case, cryptozoologists have a few theories of what the Amarok might be based on the stories told by the Inuit people. The main theory is that Amaroks are actually direwolves. Direwolves are an extinct species of large wolves that used to live that lives in Canada and other locations in the ancient past. They are believed to went extinct around 1300 to 10,000 years ago. So the theory states that Amarok might have been related to or are direwolves that might have survived and were told by Inuit people, or were once stories told by ancestors of Inuits about the direwolves that got misconcepted and became Emerooks through changes in the story. Another possible theory is another extinct animal, which is the bear dog. Like the direwolf theory, this one stated the same, but with bear dogs that survived and evolved to become something like Emerooks. You also got the hyena dawn that was thrown into these type of theories as well. Another theory is the possibilities of an unknown yet a what am I trying to say here? A unknown, undiscovered species of large wolves that are up in the Arctic. There we go. After all, Canada itself has many unexplored areas that could home an unknown canine species. And speaking of which, cryptozoologists also draws connection between Amarok and Waheela. As I already mentioned, the Waheela is an Alaskan cryptid that's basically a large wolf with a heavy bear-like build. Due to similarities in structures and close habitats, cryptozoologists have made a belief that the two might be close relative, if not the same animal. But personally, though, I think these two are separate beings due to the physical traits, behaviors, and hunting strategies. And by the way, I am going to cover the Waheela in a future Creature of the Week stream, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But, anyways, it's actually interesting to see the possibilities of the Amarok that might be an actual cryptid lurking in the forest, I mean, the frozen landscapes of the north. But that's for cryptozoologists to discover. Famous stories. The stories of the Amarok, along with other Inuit creatures, are passed down through oral stories and histories throughout their time. Normally, these tales wouldn't be reached to outsiders, but luckily for you humans, Heinrich Johannes Rink, a Danish geologist and a Greenlandic scholar, was able to commune with the Inuit people and was able to record their stories into his book, Tales and Traditions of the Eskimo. These tales brought about not just famous stories and legends of the Amarok, but also other creatures of their culture. Out of these stories, here are the most famous two of stories that are told. Okay, in the first tale, a boy who was of weak body and often bullied by his community called upon the Lord of Strength for assistance to become stronger. Out of nowhere, an Amarok appeared and wrestled the boy by beating him with his tail. Because of the tail slam, small bones came out of the boy, but he wasn't hurt by this. The Amarok spoke to him and told him that those small bones had prevented him from growing. He instructed the boy to return every day so the Amarok could build up his body to become stronger. So from that moment on, each day the boy returned and wrestled the Amarok until he became strong enough to take on 3 polar bears and gain the praise of his village. Isn't that nice? And while that story was wholesome, the next one, however, is tragic. In this tale, a grieving mourner over his relative loss heard of an Amarok that was roaming the area. He must have believed that the Amarok killed his relative. Because of this, the mourner and another relative went to search for it. They stumbled upon its den and found its pups, which the mourner proceeds to kill them all. The relative is frightened by this due to the fear of the mother. The two then hid in a nearby cave as the mother came back with a reindeer in her mouth. She couldn't find her kids, so she went to a nearby lake. She looked at the water for a while, then suddenly bite into the water and dragged out a humanoid shape. The relative then saw that his mourning relative fell over dead. The relative realized that the Amarok mother saw the mourner's soul and took it from the lake, thus killing him and taking her revenge for her lost pups. Now, these two stories stands out compared to the others as the rest of the stories tell of either them hunting down caribou or humans trying to capture or kill an Amarok, which I assume is always the pups since that's the only Pacific way told of how to kill one. But these two are special stories as it shows the Amarok being more than just a mere animal, and a large one at that. Popularity. Now, thanks to researchers and scholars like Rink, the Amarok and other Inuit beings have been told throughout the world. Now, I will admit, the Amarok isn't a common creature used in modern media and pop culture. However, there are still some of them used in media like TV series, games, and books. In movies, there is a 2021 short student film that features a large wolf that's inspired by the creature called Amarok. With the TV series Grimm, the Amarok was shown in a police diary that was drawn kind of like a Yeti, which I will admit is kind of disappointing because those two are definitely different creatures. Anyways, for cartoons, there are actually two cartoons that features the Amarok characters. The first is The Secret Saturdays, where Emerooks are cryptids who are kind of like a mix between Yetis and werewolves, which is like, okay. And the second is Winx Club, as there is a Magi Wolf character named Emerook who shares some traits of the actual creature. And while I couldn't actually find any Amarok beings or characters in anime slash manga, there are other monstrous wolf creatures that could be inspired by Amarok. This includes the Moro and her clan from Princess Momonoke, Proud Wolf of My Isekai Life, dire wolves like Ranga from the Slime anime, and more. With video games, Final Fantasy VI got Amarooks as large wolf beasts that uses elemental attacks. Pathfinders have them as large black wolves that hunt down players in the tundra. Winx Magic's Mayhem got the character Amarook in it. And how in the world do you pronounce this one? Ion. Wait, did I misspell Ion? Uh, I don't know if I misspelled it or not. But anyways, uh, this game. Okay, where is it at? Oh, here it is. Anyways, this game's got the wolf-headed boss that's named Emerald. Oh, I totally did not mess up one bit on that. But anyways, as for books, they could be found in mythology books like the Tales and Traditions of the Eskimo by Hinder Shaunus Rink, Inuit Mythical Creatures from Chronicle Press, and Writer's Guide to Mythical Creatures by C. Shay Solomon. There's even a movie studio that is named after the wolf creatures. And with that, we are finally on the conclusion. So let's wrap this up, folks. The Amarok are one of the many feared creatures of the frozen wild in the north. The Inuit has seen these predators as both powerful animals and spiritual beings. From the stories told of them being guardians to dangerous animals that strike fear into hunters, these giant wolves of the Arctic are truly mystical and dangerous beings. Just don't go hunting out at night in the Arctic alone, unless you want to risk both your life and soul to the Amarok. And with that, that concludes this creature of the week. So, what do you guys think of the Amarok? Do you think they're giant, fluffy wolves that you might be able to tame? Do you think they are truly dangerous and should be left alone? Would you like to go out and try to mess with one and maybe risk your soul? Let me know in the comments section whenever I load this up on YouTube. And that's pretty much it for this. Now, the next creature of the week, which let me see what it is. Ooh! We're going to be discussing about certain deities from Japanese mythology. For any of you anime weebs and stuff, I'm sure y'all are going to enjoy this one. But yeah, that pretty much concludes this creature of the week. And by the way, I know I have messed up kind of a bunch on here, which, you know, eh, common thing. But I gotta say, it has been a lot of fun talking about this mythical creature. Because the Amarok is really an interesting being. I mean, after all, giant solitary wolf creatures from the Arctic that also seem to be spirits as well. Very, very interesting stuff. And I really hope that the Amarok gets more uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Where they're more well known. But anyways, I hope they get more well known enough to where they show up in more movies, TV series, and a bunch of stuff like that. But that's pretty much a pipe dream for now. So we're just gonna go ahead and end this off. So with all that out of the way, thank you guys for coming on this fantastic Creature of the Week stream. I hope y'all had as much fun as I did as we got to talk about the Amarok and their solitary hunting ways. And if you wish to see more creatures like these, check me out on my Twitch page, check me out on Twitter, also check me out on my Game and React and my main YouTube channel. And also leave a like and subscribe for that as well. And with that, I bid this show adieu and this class adjourn. So see you guys. So long. Bye bye. Okay, bye.